bowling fans are back. Classic Lanes Greenfield again, the site. The ladies trios this time around. Dwight Albrecht helped me out from the Spare Time Pro Shop in New Berlin. And Dwight, we just had the 2+1 trios, so we had a lady and two guys bowling. On that, now we've got three ladies taking the field, bowling on the same pattern. They're bowling on that 40-foot Kegel Broadway pattern. Not an easy pattern, but they're bowling on the fresh on TV this time. Going to see some straighter lines out of the ladies, probably.
Probably initially, Phil, at first, and then obviously with 4-to-1 ratio, the track could form a little quicker because you don't have that buildup of oil in the middle. So you might, in the future matches, watch them move in a little quicker once they break down faster.
A couple of teams from Wisconsin in the 3rd and 4th seeds. A couple of teams from Illinois in the top 2 seeds today. Going to be interesting to see how the stepladder finals come out. Join Dwight and I back from Classic Lanes Greenfield in just a minute for that opening match. Opening game here from Classic Lanes Greenfield, the 2015 Classic Greenfield Ladies Trios. And a very interesting opening match here, Dwight. We've got Gina Dereshevsky bowling against a team with a couple of her former Miller Lite teammates and her daughter Jenna.
Interesting, as this obviously is at Gina's own house. You would think she'd have home field advantage.
Well, you never know. She was in the Anchor Girl, or our version of that, with the 2+1 trios. On our last show, and Gina made the show but did not win the show, so sometimes home field advantage, especially when we change the conditions up, isn't as easy as what it may seem sometimes. They're bowling on the 40-foot Kegel Broadway pattern. It's the same pattern we saw for the 2+1 trios, but they're bowling on the fresh this time around on the TV pair, so you can see the ball's going a little longer for the ladies before it takes a break, but the quality ladies out here, they're going to have no problem finding the pocket this afternoon.
Yeah, obviously Gina and Jill both have had history with the Ladies Pro Tour. Both are extremely talented lady bowlers. You can see they're actually playing a little farther in than I would expect them to be, especially on a fresh pattern. At 40 feet, you think they'd be around 9th, 10th board. Laura was a little bit inside of that too.
But a little too far inside and leaves that bad break with the 6, 7, 10, and early open frame possibility definitely here for Team Classic Lanes Greenfield.
Yeah, it almost looked like the ball set up a little early and quit on her with that camera angle, Phil.
Yeah, and it can happen. I mean, it is 20 feet of drive. If you use something with a pretty aggressive cover stock, it can use a lot of energy early and not have anything left for the back end to help break up those splits. Smart move for right now, obviously. Take the 2 pins and move on. And we've seen Jenna Dereshevsky bowl with her mom in an adult youth doubles tournament a couple of years ago here on Time Warner Cable SportsChannel. Now they're opponents, so I wonder who's more nervous, Gina or Jenna?
First time I had a chance to ever actually see Jenna bowl. Unfortunately, just haven't been around in the right spots to see her throwing, and I would assume, obviously, with that last name, she's been well coached.
Oh, absolutely. Also plays for the UWM women's team as well, and good coaching there with Chad Sorensen. Just a little bit of a bad break, leaving that week 7.
Interesting style. A lot of the ladies you see today stand up a little bit more taller in her stance. She has a very excessive, strong knee bend in her stance, and also, Phil, she doesn't slide a lot on her last steps, almost what we call spikes to heel, a little bit on her last step.
More reminiscent of her father, Gary Dereshevsky, than of Gina.
Possibly. I mean, obviously the genes could go that direction. Again, it all depends on when she was growing up, who she got more coaching from, if it was Gina, Gary, or a combination of both parents.
So, and everybody gets their own style over time. I mean,
does.
You've had your twin brother who doesn't bowl anymore, but you guys had distinctive styles back in the day as well.
Exactly. We were completely different. I always got made fun of because I didn't put the turn on the ball like he did. I was more the accurate bowler. But yes, I wish I had his rev rate. I never did.
And a customer of yours out at the Spare Time Pro Shop out in New Berlin, Tracy Jacobs.
Yes, we just drilled Tracy the Crux Pearl. She suggested and recommended, it was recommended a pin down drilling to get it to be a little bit more rolly for her. And obviously following some of her comments on Facebook, so far she absolutely loves the ball.
Oh yeah, you watch that ball right there, a little high, that strong roll getting in the pocket as you talked about, a little early, keeps it strong, and trips out that 4.79. And another Hall of Famer here, Chris Holshoe, lots of her titles to her credit as well.
A little bit more upright, not as much knee bend, a lot of forward roll on the ball, keeps her hand very much behind the ball. All these girls obviously feel to get this point they have game.
Absolutely, and watch that ball, just that strong roll through the pocket. And other than that one blemish on Classic Lanes Greenfield,
they're perfect.
Yeah, they're looking good so far. Ladies are all hitting the pocket. And once again, Baker format, so one bowler ends up bowling the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th frames, and that'll be Gina Dereshevsky for Classic Lanes Greenfield and Jill Weber for Team Jenna 23. And even as an owner, you can't always get that 10-pin out.
Absolutely. But just for the people at home that really want to watch someone doing it right, Gina has actually a lot of Gary's game in her when it comes to the footwork. Very short steps at the beginning, kind of creeps to the line like what Gary does. But obviously very good timing, very good positions with her shoulders and upper body. Stuck a little bit, looked down at her foot on that one, on the approach on that, but covered the spare.
Keeps her team within a mark, but Jill Weber can stack it up. If she can throw a double here, that would get her team out to a 22-pin lead after 4 frames.
Again, Jill spent a lot of time on the ladies' tour. Father Dennis Corky Albrecht, very well coached. All the Albrechts puts a little bit more side rotation on the ball compared to some of the other ladies. A little bent elbow in the backswing, if you saw that, Phil.
Yeah, she had some elbow surgery about a year and a half ago, coming back from that, and I think that little bit of a bent elbow helps her get under the ball a little bit more as compared to her past days. I know a little bit of rehab she's been doing, and bowls one night a week here at Classic Lanes Greenfield during the season.
Still obviously has an extremely good game. Most of the ladies, Phil, are 4 steps in this first match. Gina, I believe, is the only one at 5.
Yep. And a good cover there by Jill. We're getting to our first commercial break of the afternoon. Join Dwight Albrecht and I back from Classic Lanes Greenfield for the rest of this opening match in just a moment. Four frames in the books here for our opening match at Classic Lanes in Greenfield. Ladies Trios annual event here, and Laura Matilda trying to bounce back off that second frame open, Dwight.
Oh, you look right away, Phil. She was looking at the approach, so I'm sure she's going to make an adjustment off of that first frame going high. Might move in a little bit more. And she obviously did make the adjustment. Now's in the pocket, but left the weak 10.
Yeah, and you talked about it on that ball in the second frame where the ball is just burning energy a little early. Even with moving a little bit to the right, there's still oil all the way across on this 40-foot Broadway pattern.
Right.
But moving that little bit right, it's going to be a little less oil, and it may burn up even a little bit earlier, and it's losing energy at the pocket, not kicking the 10.
And now she's kind of between the two, Phil, as now she made the move in, which she should have. And now the ball kind of hydroplaned a little bit too much and obviously left the weak 10. Nice cover.
So, yeah, keep it clean for your team. You never know. You can put a late 2 or 3 bagger on the board for your team. You might be able to get back in this match.
And these are very talented ladies. I would assume this is probably going to be a close match. Who can catch that first double could possibly end up winning this match.
Yeah, and scores weren't overly high today. During the qualifying rounds, they bowled 3 regular team games, so they each bowled their own game, but then we went into Baker games for the rest of qualifying in the semifinals. So, took a little getting used to for the ladies. They don't bowl Baker that often, especially 3-person, and Jenna Dereshevsky, a little bit of a tug on that shot.
Again, remember, Phil, most of the pros, even when they bowl on TV, most of their ratios are a 3-to-1 or less ratio, and obviously this is a 4-to-1 ratio, so a premium on shot making to get to the pocket.
And if you can't get to the pocket and you make a mistake, you want to make sure you got that angle so you're breaking up as many splits as possible like Jenna did there. No problem on that cover, and it doesn't get easy, even for somebody like Jill Weber, who's been on national TV on ESPN when she won her title in 1993 in New Orleans. It doesn't get easier. Local TV, national TV, you still got those lights on you.
Exactly. The glare from the lights onto the lane, that always bothered me when we were on Bowling with the Champs. I was pretty impressed that you were able to bring that up, that she won her title in 1993. Pretty good memory for that, Phil.
I cheat a little bit with the bio cards to give the bowlers beforehand, but yeah, definitely nice. She was one of the more dominant bowlers for 3 or 4 years out on tour. Just had a couple of bad breaks during TV matches and couldn't get to the title, and finally broke through in 93. And unfortunately, within a couple of years, the tour started shrinking, and it wasn't a full-time option available to somebody like Jill like it was back in the day. And she got herself back to Waterford and now lives in Wind Lake with her husband Don. And lots of ladies can still make a good little something extra on the weekends.
Absolutely, and it's great to see that now there's a resurgence of the new breed that are coming out for the ladies tour and the stars that are coming up now. So hopefully they can keep it going. I always loved watching the ladies go on TV.
Yeah, I mean, and now with the PWBA just starting back out, there will be another national TV event with the PBA National Championship when that's held in September. But you can watch every PWBA event on Extra Frame. Crew from the USBC, Lucas Wiseman, and his gang will be calling those Extra Frame events for the PWBA. Myself, Mike Jakubowski, and Jeff Goodger, we get those PBA 50 events and other PBA only Extra Frame events during the summer. So those will be fun to watch. And for $7.99 a month, you can't ask for any other way to get great bowling on your computer. And use your Time Warner Cable Ultimate Internet connection. That's how I watch it when I'm at home with Extra Frame.
Correct. And then obviously with TV getting less coverage for bowling, for the fans at home, that's going to be the only way you're going to actually want to watch the stars of the game.
It's neat seeing the qualifying rounds, the different moves those bowlers make. And right now, Gina just got a little slow at that shot, it looked like, tried to fit it a bit.
It sure did. And then the value that you get for the money, Phil, too. That's the biggest thing.
Well, if you miss a national TV show, whether it's been on ESPN or CBS Sports Network, it's in the archives on Extra Frame, so you can always watch it on there, too. So I missed one the other night when I was out and about doing some work, and got home, watched it on Extra Frame a day later when I uploaded it to the archives. So.
And the one thing that you see here, Phil, even though some of the time the girls aren't getting the strikes, look how good they are in their spare shooting. And that's so important in a Baker format. You don't want to have that open there.
Oh, yeah, it's more pressure on your teammates. You get a little more down on yourself with it, and that's rocking and rolling, and that's interesting for Jill. Last time leaving a 2-8, now with that 4-pin there, right. There's more ways to miss that than make it.
Yeah, you can see the ball from all that side rotation skidded out on her, and simply on a 4-to-1 ratio with less friction on the outsides, it's just not going to make it back. And now this is a tough spare, especially going cross alley on 4-to-1.
Yeah, and there's not as much oil in the middle, so sometimes you can get fooled, overhook the ball, get by the 2 and the 4 and leave the 8-pin. It looks like it's on line. It just didn't pick up that last few feet.
And that's just what I was talking about. I mean, on a flatter type of pattern, you leave more than one out there, it can easily happen.
So now Laura Matilla steps up. Her team takes the lead while she's sitting on the bench.
Correct.
And time to start setting things up. 8th frame, this is your last shot for the game.
Mm-hmm. Now let's see if she makes an adjustment off of that week 10. Again, looking at her feet, you would think that she did.
A little straighter of the pocket, and you could just see the difference there. I think that was a ball change, too. Could have possibly been a ball change. Not sure, because they were pretty similar in color.
Again, that half-board board adjustment with your feet, or maybe a ball change, so important when you're trying to obviously get ball reaction to the pocket.
Yeah, it's as we saw with Laura on the 2+1 trios, it's not about how many boards that ball covers, it's how strong that roll is when it gets to the pocket. I mean, back on that burned up pattern, she was playing between 4th and 5th arrow and getting the ball to carry. So, Jenna Dereshevsky, that's right face into the pocket well, and how about that for 10 in the pit?
Good quality shot there.
Keeps Jenna 23, only a couple of pins, 3 pins exactly, behind right now, and boy, that ball faced up pretty there, Dwight.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and look how beautiful it went through the pins. Again, close match, Phil, 3 pins going into the 9th frame. So this is where it gets the nitty-gritty.
Yeah,
who's going to perform in the 9th and 10th?
You know, for somebody like Tracy that hasn't bowled a lot of years competitively, she didn't start till she was in her early 20s.
Correct.
So
9th frame, your foundation frame. She struck both times on 13 and strikes again.
She gave that one a little extra. You can see she got to the bottom, and the way she's so deliberate with her timing and her feet,
right.
Gave it a little extra on the bottom. She kind of fell off to the right, but the ball was out of her hand already.
Again, another one that doesn't have a lot of slide and relies on her shoulder to throw the shot. Strong girl to get that ball to pull through with not any slide whatsoever.
Chris Olshoe
must strike.
Looks good, and another weak 7-pin for that team on lane 14.
Double by Tracy was huge.
So right now, with the spare conversion here by Chris Holshoe, all it's going to take is a mark and good count by Gina Dereshevsky in the 10th frame for her team to advance to the semifinal match.
Tracy struck all 3 shots on lane 13. So you can't, for a Baker partner, you can't ask for any more than that.
No.
100%.
It'll be interesting to see whoever wins this match, as Chris Holschuh has no problem with that spare. If they get moved to the other lane by the team that's coming on, Team BMK is in the second seeded position today. They'll be bowling that semifinal match against this match winner. So sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes they just go by their own ball reaction and see how they play. Other times they'll watch what the other team did before then, and they'll just try to make them uncomfortable, moving them lanes.
Gina gets the first one here. It's pretty much Katie by the door.
Yeah.
Moved a little bit more in.
And probably saw something with her teammate Laura, and just got that little more hold, slide in the pocket, and yeah, now it just needs 2 pins on 2 shots. So this one is over. With Classic Lanes Greenfield advancing to the next match. Not a bad little payday though for the 4th place finishers. Jenna 23 taking home a little money today for.
Yeah, Mom got the best of the daughter.
Yeah,
But you can tell, though, she made the adjustment from the last time that she was on that lane and moved in, and now she looks pretty locked in.
yes, indeed. And great shot there by Gina. Gets 2 on the board. We're going to start fast-tracking through the end of this match. It's no longer in doubt. And we just want to remind everybody coming up, there's a golf outing, Classic Lanes Greenfield here. The Jimmy the Greek golf outing in honor of Gina's dad, Jim Porras, benefiting the Alzheimer's Association of Southeastern Wisconsin. Jim and Jean, I believe, just celebrated their 68th wedding anniversary. So that's amazing for
Never
Gina's
make it.
parents. But it's a great golf outing. Lots of fun things going on there. It's $100 an individual, $400 a foursome. It's booking up fast. So give Gina Dereshevsky a call at Classic Lanes Greenfield to get more information or get that spot for the Jimmy the Greek golf outing. Sunday, September 6th, Muskego Lakes Country Club. Always a nice place to play as well.
Absolutely.
And I see you've been grabbing the clubs a little bit there, Dwight, and
I have.
hitting it well.
After a 14-year hiatus, I started to pick them up again. My buddy Dave got into golfing last year and asked me to join him, and I went out and bought some new clubs, and I'm really enjoying it. And so far, the back's been pretty good.
Maybe we'll have to have the spare time foursome at
There we go.
at the Muskego Lakes golf outing, the Jimmy the Greek outing.
I'm in.
All right. Opening match in the books. Classic Lanes Greenfield advancing to the semifinal match, and Dwight Albrecht and I will be back with that from Classic Lanes in Greenfield in just a couple of minutes.
Live, on demand, worldwide, Extra Frame is always on. It's the online bowling channel. Watch live qualifying rounds and match play from every PBA Tour stock and every PBA 50 Tour event on your big screen, PC, mobile phone, or tablet. Archived nationally televised shows and content is available 24/7. Extra Frame is always on. Subscribe now at www.extraframe.tv.
Semi-final match. Classic Lanes Greenfield advancing out of that opening match with a 216 to 194 win. Now a little more competition to face here with Team BMK. BMK had lane choice.
Yeah.
Decided to leave Classic Lanes Greenfield on lane 13, so we'll see how that works for him.
Interesting move. They must have really liked something they saw in 14, Phil.
And well, Gina picking up where she left off last game with a strike.
She's stroking it now. Let's just say that. She's lined up.
No doubt. And yeah, when you bowl with people you're friends with and familiar with, makes things a little bit easier out there, obviously. A little moral support from your teammates. And these ladies have been cheering each other on all day. Brandy Peterson leading things off for Team BMK.
Wow. A lot of rotation, Phil.
Yeah, she really gets on it on the bottom of that swing, and very loose,
Strong
fluid.
girl.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So they came up from the Chicagoland area. Brandy from Richton Park, Illinois, and I guess they still know how to throw strikes around Chicago, don't they?
Absolutely. Very, very powerful game. A lot of rotation and turn on the ball. Impressive.
So Lauren Matilda struggled a little bit early last game, but got herself lined up through that big strike in the 8th frame to set up the big finish for her team.
Yeah, after going high and then light and then finding the pocket, obviously she's in there now too.
Yeah, and just straighten that line out. It's always good sometimes that instead of trying to increase your angles, decreasing your angles, and
Going a little bit more parallel.
yeah, and you can just watch that ball face up and just no deflection at all going all the way through the pin deck.
Nice start by Classic Lanes.
Our lone lefty on the show, Michelle Bowden-Calhoun, and I'll tell you what, she's playing outside angle all day. Sometimes the lefties can get away with a little bit more of an outside angle than the righties do, staying direct through the front, and yeah, that's out about 6 board and faces up perfectly.
What a solid game. 5 steps, evenly spaced steps, beautiful balance at the finish. Wow, she's been well coached.
Yeah, and just perfect balance at the line, lets it off the hand nice and easy, and classic lefty stroker style. You get the guys like Dave Davis back in the day, Parker Bone. You got guys like Scott Norton. He kind of torques up on it a little bit now, but lefties that play the lanes a little bit straighter and have had great success over the years.
Yeah, Randy talks about it every time Scotty makes the show, that he's got that late timing. Does a lot what Tracy did in terms of plants that slide foot, doesn't have a lot of slide, and then pulls through with his left shoulder, where Tracy pulls through with her right shoulder. So a lot of similarities.
And wow, 5 shots, 5 strikes so far this game.
I think she's liking that Crux Pearl.
I think she is. She may be ordering another one from you, Dwight, pretty soon.
I'll be more than happy to join.
Kathleen Blevins in the 3rd spot here out of University Park, Illinois. She's got 6-300s under her belt, and another very powerful shot here, like her teammate.
I know that they have University Lanes down in Illinois. I wonder if that's obviously part of the University Park.
I'm not sure. She bowls out of Lakewood Bowl, so that's
okay.
All 3 of these ladies bowl at Lakewood Bowl in Illinois, and I'll tell you what, Brandy was a little anxious right there to get back up and throw another shot for her team. She's seen all these strikes out there, but
what a
she's
match.
got to wait for Gina to bowl first.
Well, perfect after 3.
Ladies get a little laugh out of that back there. It's not that hard to get eager out here when you're seeing all those strikes being thrown.
The girls from Chicago are very talented bowlers, Phil. You can tell that they have been around and they are well coached. And not only that, they know the ball reaction too.
Gina, you see that low angle, just nice and firm at the line, and that 6 wanted to do work on the 10 and just kind of backed off last second.
Yeah, the first bad break of the match, Phil. She threw it right there.
What's older, Dwight? That Piranha that Gina uses for her spares, or her daughter Jenna?
Piranhas were probably is the older one. I think that goes back to 1999, 2000.
Oh, so Jenna would be just a little bit older then. Okay, because Jenna's 21, so. I'm sorry, Jenna's 19.
Yeah, I think it was late 90s when they came out with it.
So
I had one.
Yeah, there were a few people that did.
Yeah, I had one.
Still, you see a lot of people using urethane for spare balls nowadays.
It was a fairly weak ball to today's standards, but back then Columbia sold it as a very aggressive ball, but I never got a lot of hook out of mine.
Well, I think Brandy would have no problem getting a hook out of anything right now. First 4 for her team, getting into the commercial break for this game. We've got some great bowling going on here at Classic Lanes Greenfield. Join us after the break for the rest of the semifinal match. Barbier's Italian Inn, featured in onmilwaukee.com's In Search of the Perfect Pizza in January 2013. Near Miller Park on Bluemont Road and on Milwaukee Avenue in South Milwaukee. Four frames in the book, only 1 non-strike so far between the 2 teams. And Dwight, I wasn't expecting a shootout at this game after what we saw in game number 1 today.
You know, the track could be opening up a little bit. The camera lights could be drying up the track a little faster. Or the girls are just making good quality shots, Phil.
And a good shot there by Laura Matilla, but that 6-pin you saw just went in the flat gutter and did absolutely nothing.
Total repeat shot from Gina. I mean, exactly the same weak 10-pin as what Gina left.
Yeah, watch that deflection. Now, we were seeing Laura's ball finish through the 9-pin spot last time to the left of it. That time the ball went almost to the right of the 9-pin, almost made its way to the 10-pin. Take it out. So a lot of deflection, a little different roll.
6-pin just falls in the flat gutter. Just didn't want to come out.
But keeps her team close. If you're going to get spares in this game, get them in a row because you can get the strikes to get back in.
And then you need a little help from the other team, and right now the girls from Chicago are throwing nothing but strikes.
Yeah, Team BMK looking for a handful here. 5 in a row for Michelle Bowden-Calhoun. Nice and relaxed at that step. You look at that left shoulder down just a little to stay.
That's what I'm watching. Just great footwork and great balance.
How loose that swing is at the bottom of the swing. Everything's loose.
Impressive. Almost Mike Albee type of game. A little bit like Mike Albee. Albee was even a little bit slower with his ball speed. Albee was a slow looper.
Yep.
Had a little bit more forward roll in the ball. She's got a little bit more side rotation. But similar type of game to Albee, though.
Yeah,
That free loose arm swing that Albee had.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the looser you are, the greater your ability to repeat from shot to shot if you're not muscling it. And even with somebody like Tracy, who takes her time getting in the backswing, you watch that ball come down, and there's no tension in that arm and that shoulder.
Nope. And boy, that ball's got a lot of strikes on it, Phil. What I like about it is...
You should get a bonus as a ball driller, Dwight, when somebody throws a lot of strikes on TV like that.
We got to start that. I agree. I'd be all for that.
You should get 10%.
Well, I'd be like the caddy in golf, Phil. I mean, you always want the golfer to win because you know the caddy's going to get a nice paycheck out of it.
There you go. So we got to get the same thing for you pro shop guys out of this.
I agree.
So Kathleen Blevin stepping up, looking for the first half a dozen for her team. Looking good at the pocket, and the wrap 10. Just a little bit different than those weak 10s, but needed that little stronger roll at the pocket.
Yeah, she puts a lot on the ball, and that was your ringing 10 or your 6 up and around 10. Another one that doesn't have a lot of slide fill on that last step, kind of comes down and just plants that slide foot. And for a lot of people, that's where they get their rotation and turn. It can't put a lot of pressure on the left knee and the left hip, though. It could obviously see how she spikes that foot on her slide foot.
Yeah, we've known some pro bowlers. I know Brian Valenta's two-handed bowler, but he spikes his foot, and he's had knee surgery, and he's only in his 30s.
Correct.
With all the pressure he's put on and all the bowling that he does on the tour.
Yeah, today we're trying to get a nice launch slide in coaching to obviously create that longer flat spot. A lot of coaches, including myself, feel that that's where you get that natural rotation and turn off the hand.
Gina looking to get a double back on the board for her team, keep them in it, and boy, you just get that little inch difference of where the ball faces up on the lane. And
yeah, but when she gets going, Phil, she's just automatic.
Oh yeah, I mean,
if you watch her go to the line, it's just repeat in terms of her physical game, and then how the ball comes off her hand.
Yeah, and it's just she doesn't get much time to practice anymore with running the center here, but focusing on what you've done in the past and all the bowling she did when she was younger. We don't lose that as bowlers. You keep that muscle memory going, and Brandy Pearson's just muscling strikes out there.
Yep, 3 for 3. Impressive, Phil. Very strong game.
It is. $750 top prize today out there for the ladies if you win this tournament. So, yeah, thanks to a nice contribution by Gina and Classic Lanes into the prize fund. So, nice turnout for the ladies on a holiday weekend when we tape this, over Memorial Day weekend. So, a couple teams that we usually saw were gone bowling women's nationals, but they had a little bit of success out there as well. Rochelle Roventini tied for first place in the women's nationals in the diamond singles division. So, could be another Eagle coming back to Wisconsin. Not that there hasn't been many of those over the years.
Well, they always talk about how the Midwest, especially with the men's USBC tournament, always turns out such winners. And we have such powerful teams like McDowell's team and Riggle's team from Madison. But look at the girls that also come from the Midwest too, Phil. Not only Chicago, but some of the girls that we have from Milwaukee and how they're up in the leaderboard also.
Oh, yeah. And then how about that from Michelle Bowden-Calhoun? Tripping out that 8-pin like nobody's business.
And Laura strikes in the last shot, and you're already at, even though it's the 8th frame, I mean, that was a must double there.
And right now, an 11-pin lead for Team BMK. And that was huge because that single pin stands and she was forced to throw a spare.
Right match.
Classic Lanes Greenfield could have taken the lead.
Mm-hmm. Again, now you're getting to the foundation frame. These are the important ones, Phil. 9th and 10th.
Tracy doesn't make a move on that shot.
No, and she's been perfect up to this point, even though she's had a couple that have creeped and tripped out the 4-pin.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. You don't see that Tracy too often. I think she was thinking about that shot a little too much.
Might have entered her mind. You could tell, obviously, she got it a little wide. Again, on a house shot, that could come back. But you get that OB outside in that 4-to-1 ratio, and that was really the first errant shot of the match, and it just simply ain't going to come back. And a tough spare to boot.
Yeah, I mean, you want to make sure you throw a good shot. You kind of hold on to it a little bit, and you kind of get late into your timing, and all of a sudden you rush it through. Much better on the spare.
And that's big, Phil.
So it keeps her team in the game right now, but with Kathleen Blevin stepping up here, team working on a double. strike here could pretty much put it out of reach.
Yeah, it could. And she has been perfect up to this point. So these girls are throwing slinging deadwood all over the place so far.
So no doubt you're going to take an extra second or two when you know the shot is this clutch.
Important shot, you bet.
Nice and relaxed. You see those knees flex. Easy to the line. Dead on target. Scrambles the rack.
Right, and gets the light wally. Again, that's what rotation and turn put on the ball for. To get that wally. So obviously, clearly, they're in the lead here for the match.
Yeah, I mean, right now, 244 is the maximum
yes.
for Classic Lanes Greenfield, but 279 pace for Team BMK. I mean, it would take Gina striking out and a bad count open
yes.
for Brandy Peterson in the 10th frame for Classic Lanes Greenfield to advance, and that's going to end any hope right there.
Yep. And that has been kind of like Team Classic's undoing on that lane has been that week 10. Gina left it twice, Laura left it once.
So with that, Classic Lanes Greenfield going to be taking home third place money. Team BMK is going to be advancing to the championship match against Amir and the girls. So interesting team name, but then I realized that it was Amir is one of the bowlers' sons that's here watching today. So.
Okay.
So cheering on. Here's Amir coming in on the shoulders of Lindsay Siegel, who we've seen quite a few times on our Time Warner Cable SportsChannel bowling shows.
Again, more talent from the Chicago area.
And yeah, it will be an all-Illinois final match today. We've seen those once in a while on the women's shows with, you've got Joey Biondo,
yes.
Rochelle Blake, and
they're strong.
Junkie Armand, and yeah, there's a lot of women that come up and bowl these events here on TV from Northern Illinois, and it's a battle against the Illinois ladies with the Wisconsin ladies.
Mm-hmm. Well, it starts a nice rivalry.
Absolutely, a little border battle going on, and I think it was just a little bit of an area check there by Brandy Peterson, but now it's going to be interesting once again. You've got a lane you've thrown 250 on with a spare and a strike here.
Yep.
What does Amir and the girls do when they get their practice between matches? Do you just automatically think of moving them to lane 13?
I would. Absolutely. You're coming off at 250. You got to get something in their minds to make them think about it a little bit more.
Got Brandy coming up there. No problem covering up that spare. Full ride will give him 256. Not too shabby.
Team BMK, very, very impressive. I mean, they bowled a very good Baker game, Phil.
And with the adrenaline, keeping the adrenaline in check. You've had a great game so far. You started with the first 5 strikes. Now you got to sit around and wait. You don't get any practice while the other team comes on, and it's just a matter of getting yourself focused. 5 steps to the line. Nice and powerful on the bottom. A little light, but she'll take it. 253. 233 is the final here. Team BMK going to the championship match. Dwight Albrecht and I will be back from Classic Lanes Greenfield with that championship. Why do we have so many of our televised tournaments at Castle Lanes? Because we love being part of the wild side of bowling. If you're ready to get in touch with your wild side, go to castlelanes.com. Providing premier equipment sales and services to Wisconsin bowlers since 1973. Check out our Wall of Fame and our current specials at bpsmilwaukee.com. Well, bowling fans, you've waited all day for the championship match here from Classic Lanes in Greenfield, the 2015 Ladies Trios, Team BMK, taking on Amir and the girls and Dwight. Amir and the girls, they're going to take lane 13. They're going to leave BMK on lane 14, so they must have seen something on 13 they really liked in practice.
I don't agree with that move at all, Phil, but I'm not on the lanes throwing the ball.
Yeah.
I'm just a commentator.
Yeah. And we saw the ladies talking. After they got done with their practice, they received 3 shadow balls on each of the 2 lanes, and they decided they liked something on lane 13 a little bit better. But I guess if you're starting like that with Angie Reed, you can't go wrong with that thinking.
Well, they also could think that they had a big game and there could be a letdown. You always got to look at it that way too, Phil. I mean, how long are they going to have that look Could they have it 2 games in a row?
And it could be, too, with a little more power these ladies are showing for Team BMK, the little higher rotation and rev rate, they're going to change their own pattern a little quicker than Amir and the girls might.
There's a lot of scenarios. Right now I don't see it, though.
Not when you're throwing pins around like Balsa would, like Brandy Peterson did right there. So, wow. So let's watch the replay on that shot, and just that 5 gets thrown into the 7.
Yep. Massive messenger.
No doubt about that. And first appearance on TV as well here for Nina Yarborough.
I love her favorite pro bowlers. She writes down Shannon Pukowski and Liz Johnson. And what a great showing, obviously, those two put on over up in Green Bay.
Yes, indeed.
For the Queens.
And I'll tell you what.
What a great show.
Nini's rev rate, how about that? That's a lot of paw she puts on the bottom.
She's way past Liz Johnson in terms of rev rate.
And way past Shannon as well. I think she's past me.
Yeah.
To be honest.
And don't even get started with me.
So.
It puts a little bit on it. Let's just say that.
Yeah, switches to polyester ball for the spare. Got to make sure you get all 3 with the ball. It's the best way to make it. And not too far behind right now, but as we saw last game with Team BMK, they just ho-hum started with a 5-bagger.
Ho-hum.
Yeah, and Michelle Bowden Calhoun here, she received 3 strikes out of her 3 attempts in the first game.
It would be interesting to know, out of the girls from Chicago, how many even tried the Queens up in Green Bay, because obviously there is a lot of talent there.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. They had a nice field this year. They were over 200 ladies for the Queens, and we'll have to see when the PWBA stops.
Yes.
It's going to be tough for some ladies to get out to the coast, obviously, with the first one in July out in Sacramento, California, at Steve Cook Center out there, a great PBA player and Hall of Famer in his own right.
And the ladies that did do the commentary on the Queens talked about the college girls or the young girls up and coming, on how strong that they're getting, and getting to almost that level that the top touring lady pros obviously are.
Nice shot there by Lindsay, no problem.
And again, that Crux Pearl happens to be a popular ball on lane 13.
Well, you mentioned with the college ladies, we had Leanne Barrett-Hulsenberg up at the Sean Yonan this year. She was there with Storm, and she was so impressed by the high school and college girls that bowled. She goes, back in the day, there'd be one girl that would come out through. She goes, and I was one of them. There was one girl that come out through. They have the physical game and everything to make it happen when they were 19, 20, 21 years old. Nowadays, there's 2 handfuls of them coming out of college every year. Yeah. So that competition on the PWBA Tour is going to be
very high.
Very high this year.
Very high. And Leanne was one of my favorites back in the 80s and 90s, not to date myself too much. Famous nickname for her was the Boomer.
Yep, and she had a pretty good Queens as well, making that top 64 and taking a nice check back to Utah, where she's living now with working for Storm.
With Gary.
So let's see what Angie Reed can do here to keep her team close.
Another Crux Pearl. Last time up, Phil, she went high, leaving the 3-6-10.
No, Angie struck. Nene.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Left the 3-6-10. And
another one.
If you need a Crux Pearl spare time pro shop, and New Berlin Bowl has plenty of them in stock right now. I'm sure you can see Dwight for those. And it's a good time to start getting ready for fall league, so no doubt about it.
Absolutely. And I expect that ball to carry over in the sales as it did when it came out in February. It was a very strong ball for us. Obviously, you can see that even on a 4-to-1 ratio, that ball is working very well for the ladies that have thrown it on this show so far.
Let's see what Brandy Pierce can do to keep her team perfect through 4. How about that? Another great start for Team BMK, getting into the commercial break for a championship match. Dwight Albrecht and I will be back from Classic Lanes Greenfield with the rest of this championship in just a moment. Team BMK off to another hot start in this championship match with the front 4. However, Dwight, Amir and the girls only 20 pins behind right now, still anyone's match.
Now we start talking about Nini and when she left the 3-6-10 last time. And Phil, look at the ball change. Went to a Storm Frantic. I believe she was using an IQ.
I believe you're right. And that one even rolls up a little early, crosses over.
So now she's really puzzled at this point. And again, that could really hurt you when one of the 3 players is not lined up. You can tell she's doing a lot of thinking there, Phil, waiting for the ball to come back.
Well, it's a little tougher in Baker because you can have your teammates in a regular team competition shoot 6, 7 in a row. You can get a few spares in a row. and you'll still come out with a really high score. Meanwhile, in Baker, you're alternating strikes and spares. That's keeping that score down, and that puts that little extra pressure on your teammates to step up and strike and pick you up, even more than regular team competition.
And correct. And also at that point, you start looking at your teammates going, okay, what do you guys suggest I do? Because this is what I'm seeing. Can you give me some advice?
Well, Nini only has one more shot now. There was her shot in the 5th.
Right.
She's got one more chance in the 8th to put a strike on the board for her team.
And that's what the cool part about Baker is that added pressure, because you only got 3 shots per game to perform and come through.
Ooh, that's a little farther left than she wanted, but she gets it to come back. How about that for Michelle Bowden-Calhoun?
And the last time she was up in that lane field, it looked like she got a little bit left of target, and I'm like, okay, this ain't going to come back. And she did get it to come back, so obviously a little area check out there for the lefties.
Well, it shows you, if you don't panic through the bottom of the shot, if something doesn't feel wrong, you just kind of try to stay with it. Stay relaxed. You're not as far off the target line as you would be if you tightened up, and you might make something happen nonetheless.
Correct. Just the good quality physical game, creating a couple boards more a miss area.
Lindsay Siegel steps up, and a little bit of a wrap 10 there on lane 13, and she knew that was a big shot. Keep her team in the match.
Yeah, I love her finish. Obviously, watch the spare shot. Super deep knee bend. Gets her legs to throw the shot instead of the right shoulder. Very, very impressed on her game. I've seen her a couple times bowl. Always have been impressed on her game. Again, watch how nice she drops her hips at the finish and swings that trail leg around her body. That's what creates that balance and that leverage.
Yeah, the only woman to win the Badger Queens tournament back-to-back years, 2013 and 2014. She won the Wisconsin Women's Open in 2013. So, I mean, we know Lindsay has game and can get out there and throw with the best of them. She's a school teacher in Illinois, so it would have been tough for her to make the Queens, but I'm sure given the chance, she wouldn't shy away from bowling against the best ladies in the world.
And that's what we're looking for as a coach, is we want to really try to get our bowlers in that good, strong position on that last step. So important.
Kathleen Blevins looking for that 6 in a row. Nice out of her hand, and this time can't get the 7 out. We've seen that little bit of a light 7-pin quite a few times on lane 14 today.
Yeah, a little bit of a bad break. The head pin just didn't do its job. You'll see it here. Came off the kickback and then went into that 5-pin position. Just didn't get the pins, the 2 and the 4 to mix right to take out the 7.
Switches that polyester ball, take that lane pattern out of play, goes straight, not a problem, perfect cover.
Very, very nice game. Nice, simple 5-step approach. Very smooth and methodical going to the line with her steps. Nice body position at the finish. Again, very, very well coached. Very impressed with all the girls' games.
Yeah. 31 pin lead for Team BMK. The striking has to start now.
Yes.
For Angie Reed and Amir and the girls.
And Angie, up to this point, Phil, been perfect.
Gets that ball to the face and tickles that 8 out.
Actually, Quit rolled out on her pretty bad. She got away with the break, though, but you could see the ball really lay off right before it went into the pins.
Yeah, and sometimes, watch that, just end over end, and enough of the head pin to scramble it up and mix everything up. She probably would hit a little heavier in the pocket. It probably would have been a weak 10 pin.
Yeah, but that was absolutely must strike at that point.
See what Brandy Peterson can do here to match the other team's efforts. Fell off that one a little bit and still made it happen.
Speed was a little faster too. You could tell that the ball hydroplaned a little bit, made it look a little faster. It went down the lane, got a big break, matching strike for strike here. There's no way that the girls are going to catch up, obviously, if Team BMK keeps striking.
So, big shot here for Nini Yarborough.
Right.
Hasn't found the pocket in her first 2 attempts.
No. And now another ball changed. I think she went back to her original ball, Phil. Yep.
Much farther right, sets up nice, and that 4-pin was silly to think it could still stand up against that head pin onslaught.
Yeah, and that maybe should have been the move that she would have made in the 5th frame. Instead of making the ball change, she should have stayed with that ball and just moved in, and that sure looks like what she did.
Well, if there's been an MVP so far today, and I got to stick with a fellow lefty here, Michelle Bowden-Calhoun.
Amazing how you guys stick together.
Can really help almost put lockjaws on this match with a strike here. Much better pitch than her last effort.
Yes.
Just slap that 7 out.
Okay, look at how the ball goes through the pins, Phil. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's just nice, easy, gradual turn.
Strike almost every time.
I think she's 6 for 6.
6.
Yeah, there's your. If we had an MVP or MVP award, most valuable bowler, I'd have to give my vote to Michelle Bowden Calhoun right now.
Now the thing that you look at it is, did she have an advantage just being the only lefty too?
It could be, and yeah, without getting moved over to lane 13, there could have been a difference there. And another wrap 10 for Lindsay Siegel, and that's going to pretty much end this.
But she didn't throw bad shots. I mean, the 10 pins that she left were 6 up and arounds.
Yeah, watch that 6 pin. Had a couple of chances to get at that 10 pin, didn't quite do it.
Tried to get it low, tried to get it high. Look how low her deeper knee bend. Look at that trail leg. That's impressive.
You can just see when that 10 pin didn't go, the disappointment knowing that second place money is going home with Amir and the girls today. And the way it looks, Team BMK is going to be taking home that $750 first place prize.
Well, Phil, they earned it. Obviously, they didn't give it away. Let's just say that. I mean, obviously, when they had competition step up, they followed that competition and closed the door on them. So they earned it.
No doubt. Any mark here by Kathleen Blevins, and this championship's going home with Team BMK. A little quick out of her hand, and apparently a little left. I thought that was going to hold pocket, but she can't complain about a 4-pin right now, and make the spare. Your team's going home a winner.
Yeah, at this point, make your spare, and this is just close to the victory.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the 230s already with a spare here, no matter what kind of count. Brandy Pearson gets in the 10th frame. You've got 227 as a maximum for Mir and the girls if Angie Reed can strike out. So this one is all done but the singing.
Right, just got to stay behind the phone.
All right, the checks. So. Well, I know Joey Serrar helps us out and he shows often. He's got a busy summer going at the shop, and you got a busy one going too out at Spare Time Pro Shop at New Berlin Bowl, and a couple of specials going on right now, I'm sure, with some stuff.
We have, Phil, and it has been a very busy summer, so thank you for giving us the plug. And obviously, we'll be going in the next couple of weeks to St. Louis for our annual trade show through our distributor, so we get to see the new toys that are coming out, at least for the first segment of the year, obviously leading up to Labor Day weekend when the leagues get going again. But the summers are becoming shorter and shorter for pro shops, and it's a good thing, good and bad thing. It just doesn't give us a lot of time to get out and do some golfing, but it also helps pay the bills too.
No doubt, and hey, when it rains, it pours at the end, unfortunately, for Angie Reed. Inconsequential, though, with the match being wrapped up by Team BMK already. And my advice to bowlers right now is get your stuff done sooner than later. Don't wait for the rush in August and everybody else is in there. Get your stuff in early July, middle July, and throw a few games with it before league starts. I see in New Berlin Bowl, I've stopped in a couple of times, even with their summer leagues going on. Still time to get a lane at night, anytime. So, and a lot of centers are that way as well. So, see you at Spare Time Pro Shop early. Get that stuff drilled up, and then you can take a look at them as they throw it at New Berlin Bowl as well.
The luxury of being inside of a bowling alley, we give that great customer service, and we're open the nights that the leagues are here till late in the evening also, even over the summer. So just call and make an appointment. We'll get in and get your new ball drilled for you.
Absolutely, and inconsequential there right there. From Brandy Peterson. Team's taking home that $750 first place prize. I think they're already plotting how to spend it. It's getting over the border first back to Illinois before they spend it.
There you go.
Let's see if we can finish a little showing off here, Brandy. If you leave a washout the last ball, you may as well make it, right?
Very impressive, Phil, by Team BMK. All the ladies bowled very good today. They're deserving champions.
And what a way to finish up by Brandy Peterson making that washout. 248 to 204, Team BMK taking home the championship for the 2015 Classic Greenfield Ladies Trios. Dwight Ulrich and I will be back to wrap this up in just a couple of minutes. Make sure you stay tuned. Eileen's Bowling Buddy, used by high school and college coaches and members of the PBA Tour to train, warm up, and rehab. Get all the information at eileensbowlingbuddy.com. Well, Dwight, great bowling by Team BMK today. 253 the first game in the semifinal, 246 the last game in the final. they just weren't missing the pocket at all. And Michelle Bowden-Calhoun off the left side, nothing but perfect.
Yeah, and obviously, Phil, it's interesting that obviously they did not have lane choice that last game, and the other team could have brought them over to the other lane, but decided to actually keep them on lane 14. I think that hurt them in the long run.
Yeah, a big 246 game for Team BMK gets them that $750 first place prize. Awesome bowling by them, and we'll get the money back for them from Illinois sometime in the future. I'm sure they'll be back.
They got the best of us this time.
No doubt about that. More great bowling coming up on Time Warner Cable SportsChannel. Thanks to our friends there. Some great youth bowling coming up from Sunset Bowl in Waukesha. Any summer bowling needs? Any bowling needs at all? See my buddy Dwight here at Spare Time Pro Shop in New Berlin. For my friend Dwight, I'm Phil Brilo. Parents, take the kids bowling. They'll have fun for life. And we'll see you next time from Sunset Bowl in Waukesha.